This is genuinely insane, as a wild new report and rumor has surfaced surrounding the New York Knicks and one player in particular that has fans absolutely fired up. At this point of the offseason, we're seeing the New York Knicks finish off their touches on the roster, and with an old colleague helming one of the teams in the Western Conference, there has now been a crazy update, and we have a bunch to talk about with this. So guys, if you are excited to get into this video, make sure to subscribe first. If you're part of that 56% that's not subscribed, we got a lot of good videos coming at you guys, and I know how you all feel about these trade updates and all this stuff. I promise you, we're almost done with them. I know you guys don't like them. This is the news right now. I don't control what comes out in the news, and I'm updating you on all things Knicks, but let's jump into the video, and let's have some fun with this stuff, guys. Because, look, as we know with the New York Knicks, there is always trade stuff going on. This is the case for two reasons. One, they're the Knicks. People like to put the Knicks name places. Two, Leon Rose is always calling teams about the value of other players. That is a known fact about Leon Rose. The reason he does that is to check the prices of other stars around the NBA to sort of gauge the valuation on players that he's open to trading and players on other teams that he's open to trading for. That's how the Knicks work. It's how Leon Rose works. He likes to know the value of other players so we can give it to their analytics department, so their analytics department can really decide, all right, numbers-wise, wins-wise, what's the good move here? The Knicks calculate everything in not an unsimilar way to the way that Moneyball calculated what leads to, how Moneyball calculated runs lead to wins, what leads to runs. The Knicks literally just go, what leads to wins? What players lead to wins? We know what we want to see out of players. We know what the modern NBA is. It's two-way players who could shoot, create shots for themselves, and handle the ball while also having a lot of versatility throughout your team. The Knicks have looked for that time and time again. They look for guys who can play multiple positions and defend multiple positions and basically do well against multiple other positions guarding them. That's what the Knicks like to see. They love fluidity, and with that, there's been a lot of trade rumors and a lot of trades with the Knicks. The Knicks have made multiple blockbuster trades over the last year and a half, whether it's OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Karl-Anthony Towns. We're coming up on the one-year anniversary of that. The Knicks are not strangers to making trades, and there's no reason to believe that they're going to slow down. They're solely focused on winning a championship, and that leads to a lot of talks like this. And a recent trade mentions the Knicks receiving Keon Ellis in exchange for Deuce McBride and a 2028 first-round pick with a top 8 protection. Obviously, fans will not be thrilled about that idea. As Zach Buckley mentions, the Knicks are heavily invested in this core and fully believe it holds championship potential. When the club split from Coach Tom Thibodeau following its first conference finals appearance in 25 years, team president Leon Rose explained they were singularly focused on winning a championship. Buckley continued by saying it's possible they'd view McBride as being too meaningful to move. But there's also a bit of if not him, then who factoring into this selection. The starters are cemented. Mitchell Robinson can't stay healthy, and there'd be nothing beyond blind faith drawing suitors toward Pacome Dadier or Tyler Kolek, who logged a combined 407 minutes last season. So McBride it is, but only if the Knicks feel like they're getting an upgrade. Keon Ellis probably fits the bill. He doesn't provide the same playmaking, but he's more consistent from three and bigger and more versatile on defense. It'd be easier to get him on the floor with Jalen Brunson, and it's hard to think of a more helpful skill than supporting the club's best player. Now, following the Knicks, like a lot of us here do, as you hear the sirens outside, because why wouldn't they be outside? We know that Jalen Brunson and Deuce McBride play phenomenally when they're on the court together. Yeah, they're a bit undersized, but they work well. Deuce McBride loves being Jalen Brunson's shooting guard. They work really well. McBride's shooting numbers go up. His scoring numbers in general go up. He guards He guards the better matchup out of the two guards. And on top of that, Jalen Brunson plays better because Deuce can handle the ball. So Brunson gets to be a little bit more off-ball as well, where his efficiency rises through the roof. It's one of the reasons why the Knicks want to get more playmaking onto this roster, is so they can optimize the off-ball version of Jalen Brunson, which, believe it or not, is better than the on-ball version of Jalen Brunson. And the on-ball version of Jalen Brunson is a top 10 player in the NBA. So that says a lot about how good Jalen Brunson is when he's off the ball. Now, Keon Ellis comes in, and the Knicks actually lose playmaking from this. They do gain a 6'6" two-way wing who's got excellent 3-and-D and had the second best three-point percentage in the NBA last year. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff to like on Keon Ellis. But there's a lot of stuff to also consider when looking at this deal. Now, first things first, Deuce McBride put up 9.5 points per game last year, 2.5 rebounds, and 3 assists. He shot 37% from three, which was a bit lower than the year prior, but he did shoot 39% on corner threes. I think in a Mike Brown offense where he's getting a lot more corner three attempts, we're going to see Deuce rise back up to around that 40% from three mark, which is good, especially when you consider the hounding defense and shot creation that he adds as well. He's a guy who the Knicks love, And we're going to go back over what the Knicks think with Deuce McBride as well later. But when you look at Keon Ellis, he put up 8 points per game, 3 rebounds, and shot 43% from 3. He shot 51% on corner threes. Mike Brown also knows Keon Ellis well because he coached Keon Ellis every single year that he was the head coach of the Sacramento Kings. Keon Ellis was drafted the same year Mike Brown was hired, and with that in mind, what we consider is a connection that's already built in. Mike Brown does have a say with the front office because they want to be collaborative, but that collaboration leads more towards the Knicks front office giving Mike Brown suggestions and demands basically on what's going to happen with the rest of this Knicks roster and rotations and stuff like that. Now, obviously, if this trade happens, we see the Knicks showing faith in Tyler Kolek as well, because Kolek is a guy who barely played last year, averaging 7.2 minutes per game, not appearing in the majority of Knicks games, and just mainly riding the bench, putting up 2 points and 1.7 assists, and shooting horribly, but at the same time, what do you expect? He barely got on the floor, so it's not really anything to be too nervous about. The other hand is, it does give the Knicks more room to go for Ben Simmons and have a bigger unit where you have a backup of Ben Simmons, Jordan Clarkson, Keon Ellis, Josh Hart, and Gershon Yabusele. It's a very interesting bench unit to look at, and we know the Knicks have interest in Ben Simmons. If you do this deal, Malik Beasley, that whole situation becomes a lot more simplified, and by simplified, I mean you don't really have to go for Malik Beasley as much anymore. You need a guard. You need a guy who can handle the ball, and Ben Simmons does that, and so does Malcolm Brogdon, and a few other names as well that you can totally look at. You could look at DeLon Wright even and try to bring him back. You have options, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, we know the Knicks like Ben Simmons, so that would be the move I'd expect to come next if the Knicks were to end up doing a trade similar to this or like this. Now, we look at Deuce McBride. The Knicks signed him to a very, very, very cheap extension right before he started playing well. Right when the Knicks traded Emmanuel Quickley and Deuce McBride had a couple bad games, the Knicks gave him this extension. It is it's a front-loaded extension, meaning his price is going down year per year. Deuce McBride was one of the best 6 men in the NBA last year, one of the better 6 men in the NBA last year, and given he didn't get a ton of minutes, so it didn't always show statistically because Tibbs, you know how he works. But you see that Deuce is on $4 million per year this season, and then next season he's on a $3.5 million deal, which is a bargain and a half for Deuce McBride. Now you look at Keon Ellis. He's got this club option that's been accepted, and next year he is an unrestricted free agent. That's not as enticing because you're going to have to give him money next year. That's a year shorter that you have of coverage on a guard who's making very little money when he's on a good contract. So you also have to consider that. The Knicks are trying to stay good with salary cap, so that makes things a little bit more difficult as well. So really what we see is a tough situation here. Now, when we look at the Knicks books, things are not so clean right now. I mean, they have they're 25th in space right now. They have the 25th least amount of space because that's how far they are over the salary cap. All teams are over the salary cap except for the Nets right now, who have around $18 million to spend. We then see the first apron, which the Knicks would be over. This is for next year, too. This isn't this offseason. This is next year when there will be more teams with salary cap. But the Knicks, this is where they're at right now. They have no sorts of salary space whatsoever. They'd have around $3 million to work with before that first apron and $15 to work with before that second apron. Keon Ellis will demand somewhere around $10-11 million per year. That makes things a lot trickier for the New York Knicks going forwards, who are also giving up a very cheap contract in that 2026 first-round pick if obviously things were to go horribly awry, but there'd probably be some sort of protection backup on that pick, meaning the Knicks would be giving up second rounders, which, you know, you don't really want to do when you need cheap contracts. It doesn't make sense. I hate this trade. I hate everything about this trade. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. We are slowing down on trade videos, I promise. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day. Go Knicks.